Hi, Gail Fugit, President and CEO of the Advertising Research Foundation. I'm here with Serge Matta, CEO of comScore, and Stephen Rosenblatt, Chief Revenue Officer at Foursquare.
Great to be here.
All right, so you're going to hear it here first. We're going to talk a little bit about partnership. But first of all, what I want to understand is here we are, CES 2016. You actually managed to find us here. We were talking about all these new spaces, and this is kind of a different one. How did you get here? And I don't mean, did you take a taxi or a tram or, right? I mean, like, tell me a little bit of your story. One of you dive in, the other one can, dive in after that.
It's all you, buddy.
My story, yeah.
Top of the game,
So this is like my 8th, I think, CES. First one was 2001. Yep. It was not like this. It was the talk of the town was about Sirius and XM satellite radio. So it's really interesting how it's evolved. But for me, it's just 17 plus years in digital. And, each year it gets bigger.
You're at the bleeding edge.
And we have to be here. You got to understand what's going on. We're meeting with so many partners.
How do you navigate it?
It's tough, but you got a lot of planning in advance, and a lot of impromptu. You got to just be flexible and nimble.
Yeah, no, I honestly the past 3 days I haven't worked this much, and I'm exhausted. I think we're all exhausted. We start at 6:30 in the morning and we end at 2 in the morning.
Client meetings or
meetings, lunches, dinners, network receptions, you name it.
What surprises have you encountered since?
You've been
here this year.
Yeah, I haven't been to the floor yet. I'm not going to the floor. I haven't heard a lot.
So many people are saying it.
I haven't heard a lot yet about people walking from the floor talking about this new breakthrough. I think it's evolution.
Last year it was
evolution.
the curved television.
But it's Internet of Things.
See, but it's not like. The show is great, but it's not really, to be honest, not very applicable for either of our businesses.
Exactly.
It's but what's interesting is CES has become a huge, obviously, consumer electronics, but also in terms of digital media, it's huge. And 90%, I bet you, 90% of those people that come to digital media never once step on that floor. And they just have meeting after meeting after meeting in these hotels. And we have a suite, we have a bungalow, whatever. You go and just meet, you meet at a bar, you meet. Yeah. It's just that everyone is here. Yeah. It's unreal.
And it's funny, I think going back to surprises, everyone is thirsting to, there's so much talk of data. Yeah. Everyone really they're really trying to get their head around how to turn that into actionable results. So I think we're really at that point where people are really trying to solve that. I can't believe how many of those conversations where people are really leaning in, and that's really become top of the priority list, where in the past maybe it was further down the road. They had to get other things in place.
So 17 years in digital. Serge, how many years have you been
I've been at comScore
around?
I've been at comScore since 2000, and been there for quite a bit. We've seen a lot, obviously, built the business, and had a bunch of different, a lot of up and down, mostly up.
All right, well, let's talk down.
And
let's talk failure.
For us, downs were, frankly, after 9/11, it was terrible. It was terrible. We didn't know we would actually even survive. There's no research budgets. There's no but we built an amazing brand.
How did you survive that?
Through a lot of work, a lot of dedication. We actually, one of our best acquisitions that we ever did was a small little company called Media-Metrics, and
kind of in that time frame.
Exactly time frame around 2000, 2001, and it came with a ton of clients, and helped us propel, and then just constant innovation. You've just got to be ahead of the curve constantly, and it's unbelievable. Like, you think you have it, and you think you have everything you have in your product portfolio, and then you come to this show, and then you realize the 10 things that we should be doing. And but that's what keeps us up at night.
You and I chatted failure before. Yeah. I mean, you were inspired by it.
You got to embrace it. I mean, if you don't fail, how are you going to succeed? Yeah. So you have to embrace that, and you learn from that, and it toughens you up, and it makes you smarter, and really sharpens what you do, so that the next thing you do, you can succeed at.
Yeah. Do you think people are experimenting enough in mobile right now? You think they're being like? I'll tell you, like I've been asking people what their predictions are for 2016, and it's like a couple people have said, and I can relate to this. Well, I think this is going to be the year of mobile, but I said that last year, and the year before, and the year before.
That drives me nuts. By the way,
been here
drives
for
me
so
nuts.
many years. Like, come on.
Everything.
Everything we do is on
Everything we do
mobile.
is on mobile.
Yeah.
Digital is mobile.
Right.
That's it.
A game
can't.
changer.
That's what. If you're not doing digital, which is mobile, I don't know how you're going to survive. Your business will not survive. Then you don't understand what your consumers are doing. So, that's what's great. It's everything is so. We're at the epicenter at Foursquare of it.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk about that a little bit because you were part of our webcast on Monday talking about capabilities and what you're doing at Foursquare. So take us to the bleeding edge. Because y'all are
Well, it's part of the
bleeding out.
relationship too with comScore. I mean, for us, we have really what is the world's largest always-on location panel, if you will. Our consumer base. In order to build the best consumer products, we have to constantly, we have to give our consumers the best content and product. And so we learn a lot, but we've also then take the data and the insights from that, and we're building things that, Lyft's products, right? If you asked us 5 years ago, is that what we're doing? No, but the market needs this. There's a gap out there in terms of understanding foot traffic and where
The wealth of information that they have is on peril. And then what you need to do is then come in and validate it and help the advertisers and help the merchants. It's like, okay, did this actually cause lift? At the end of the day, what's most important? You've been in CPG. What's the most important thing at the end of the day?
Sales.
Did they buy the product? Did they buy the product?
There's like a little debate going on about whether sales is the metric or not, and
It's
that drives me crazy.
That's insane.
Right.
It's insane if it's not.
Like if
that's
you
insane.
want to keep your job,
Right.
And there's also,
Right.
For a lot of marketers too, it's okay. Did they walk into a place where at least my products are sold,
Yeah.
right? So at least I can say, that's the first step. And then obviously, at the end of the day, they got to buy stuff, right? So I think that's where I see marketing and measurement going, and it's here. The information is here, the data is here. Working with partners like comScore, to put these. We can't do it ourselves, right? And it's not our business. We're not in the research business. They are, and they're best in class at it, and that's who we want to work with. Best in class partners.
how do you sort out partners? How do you decide? I had a boss that said you have to kiss a lot of frogs, right?
It's hard. It's really hard, and
Find your
you
friends.
can create a lot of partnerships, and some of them become glorified press releases, and
That's true.
And it's very true. And what ends up happening, very few end up actually being very successful. And I think what ends up happening, the key to them is at the most senior of level, making sure that you have the trust. And the partnerships that we have had that have been extremely successful, it's either myself or our COO or CRO. They know the senior management there inside and out. We trust each other, and we know that, and then we can delegate to our teams. But you just don't want to. You could do a partnership. We could spend every day creating partnerships, and we would have a press release every day. And at the end of the day, you have to pick the partners that you want to win.
It's a good point. I was able to spend time with Warren Kay from Under Armour,
Sure.
and he said when they choose partners, their first screen is values, and I was frankly really surprised to hear that. Then yesterday talking to Johnny Wada from IBM, and he said, "Well, I'm really glad to hear that, because if you want a long-lasting partnership that's more than a press release, if your values aren't consistent, then the people won't
100%.
be behaving. The senior leadership
You have to
might."
have a shared vision. It has to prioritization. You have to have. I think it has to be on the same page in terms of where the priorities
And transparency.
are. And that's
You got
it.
yeah.
You got to be open.
You got to be open.
So how do you choose?
I think that's it. It's we want to first of all we want to work with the best in class companies. We have to. That's we've built a best in class product. We want to likewise partners, and then people who get it, who also who want to be the best at what they do, and understand that they can't solve everything. We can't solve everything. So where can we help each other? And I think the best partnerships ultimately drive revenue and drive business and successful, happy customers at the end of the day. But it starts with shared vision, trust, transparency, and making sure first and foremost too that you're working with best in class.
And do you ever, like on the career front, the next generation is often asked some, know when to hold, know when to fold them, right? Like career decisions. Do you ever like realize like, okay, this partner, this is not where, time to fold this.
Yeah, and
Take this
those are the hard ones to do, especially the ones that, we're a public company, right? So especially that becomes even more difficult is ones that you make noise about, and then you decide it's time to walk away.
Maybe not
It's
so
just
much.
not the right. It's not the right one, and those are things that it's a tough decision sometimes, but you have to do for the overall business.
Usually both are on
It becomes
the same
mutual.
page.
Yeah.
Mutual.
Ends up
Yeah,
becoming
like I'm
mutual.
so glad you said that.
You both realize that this
I
isn't
hate you
really
too.
working. We're wasting time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is best laid plans. I mean, I remember when we placed $70 million in venture capital investment when I was at General Mills in internet, social media, mobile, and my treasurer said when we closed this deal with Market Tools, he said, "Gail, today is the best day of this relationship," and I was like, "Well, that can't possibly be." And he was so right.
yeah.
I mean, 20 years later, he was absolutely right. And it was a wonderful, wild ride. I don't regret any of it, but I had no idea what I was really getting into. That was a little bit, that's like, a corporation to a .com. That's kind of what's going on in the industry right now, though, right?
But there's also got to be something for both parties, right?
Yes.
And it can't end up being just one of us is going to mutually benefit. It's going to benefit, and that's what ends up happening. If they're going to fail, it's because one party is benefiting over the other, and we've seen that. If both are succeeding, if both are doing well, they'll last for a while.
All right, so you both are, at the top of your organizations. You're in the C-suite. What are you looking for in terms of the next generation, or people that come and present to you, or and to build your organization? It's clear that some new skills are going to be needed. People that can navigate data, people that actually can bring it to outcomes and not be just looking back, looking forward.
So for us, it's we just announced a huge merger with Rentrack, and we're building a scalable cross-platform product. And what does that require in terms of skill sets? It requires folks that understand TV, folks that understand VOD, folks that understand OTT, or over the top, over the air.
Are they out there?
It is not as much as you would
I know,
think,
that's what
but you got to train. You got to train hard, and we, believe it or not, one of the most successful things we've ever done at comScore is invest a ton of money in college recruiting. It's one of those things that we go and partner with the professors at a few schools, University of Virginia, Duke, Wharton, you name it, a few select schools. We go in, we partner with the professors, and then we work with them to the point where the professors come to us and say, here are the folks I want you to hire. They become the best employees for us.
Yeah.
We have so many case studies where...
Well, and that's the gift that keeps on giving, because if they're successful in your organization, then they go back and tell the next generation, the next class.
And then when they want to leave comScore, because at some point they want to go get their graduate degree, they go get their graduate degree. We had an employee in mind. She came in, she spent 6 years for University of Virginia, went back then to Stanford, got her MBA at Stanford. Guess where she's back? She's back. Because they wanted that advanced degree, and then they're back. So that's.
And what are the degrees in?
All sorts. Marketing sciences, data sciences.
Those are kind of new fields.
Statistics.
So I've been impressed. I mean, you're more New York based, but I've been so impressed with Foursquare and your employees and how much they come to our things at the ARF. And I've been there 3 years, and we're kind of have been known as being a little old-fashioned and kind of the a little traditional. To have these like super enthusiastic next generation, the really younger folks in your organization, how do you breed that in your culture?
We want people that want to learn. We want people that want to get better. I tell everyone, each individual, every single contribution. Everything you do matters, and if you go in knowing that you know, don't sit back and just sit in your little, desk. Keep pushing, keep
They
bringing
ask the
ideas.
best questions too. I mean, I have like board members up there, and they'll ask a question. It's like, really good question, right?
Well, I push them to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
I want our team to always ask questions, always force us to get better, always ask why.
Do you do that inside the organization too?
Yeah.
Is a discourse going on?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, you have to. That's the only way we're going to get better, right? We want to make sure that, we're constantly thinking of things, and ideas can come from anyone. And so, yeah, I think for us, it's just hiring people that are passionate, hiring people that really want to learn, and you have to be flexible and nimble, right? You can't. It's not just here's a black and white what you do. You got to wear multiple hats and always have real broad skills. And I think that's changed from years past.
That's a really good point. I think that's right. I think there was a feeling that you needed to specialize in some area, and you had to pick which area you wanted your specialty to be in kind of before you were ready.
Yeah.
And then you're like, uh-oh, bad choice. You have to run over to that other one. All right, so biggest success of 2015?
Our announcement of our merger with Rentrak.
Yes.
It took a lot of work.
How long did you work on it?
We started discussions in April and announced it at the end of September. A lot of work. It's a big deal. It was almost $800 million.
That's pretty fast.
The public
6
deal.
months.
And hopefully in a couple of weeks we will close the deal. And we become one company.
I would say for us, it's really this transformation from what used to be just a consumer app company to now this multifaceted company around really being the world's largest location company, right?
Yeah.
And building new products that we launched this year.
People are looking
one
for
being
that.
Pinpoint, which marketers love. Our Place Insights business, which helps companies make business decisions because, again, they want to understand how people move about the world and what's going on in different markets and neighborhoods and so on. So I'd say we launched 2 great products, but really this evolution to a much bigger, broader company around location data and not just a consumer
It's a
app.
redefinition of your vision and your point of difference. Was there a lot is there an infrastructure inside the organization in terms of how you create that kind of transformation?
I mean, it's hard. I think, you have people who, again, it takes time and it doesn't happen overnight, but you naturally see what's really working. But you also realize you built great technology. If you just use it in one area, you're missing so many other opportunities to expand. So I think it does come natural. And, just like Amazon stumbled, all of a sudden they're, no one realizes, but here's this Amazon, AWS, and next thing you know, they're the biggest cloud company in the world. That wasn't what they started out as. They started as a book retailer, and I think for us, same thing. We've built all these great capabilities and everything around our data, and now we're realizing, okay, we got to do more with it, and that's because it's working and people need it, and there's a huge demand in the market.
And that, stay tuned, right? Because
Stay
if you
tuned.
Integrate
I think,
these two companies together, I've
There's a
been
lot
through that.
Unfortunately, we can't be talking out in the public domain as we're going through a regulatory
Yeah,
process.
of course
But
not.
regardless, it's putting 2 big companies together and creating something special. Like, it's going to be a scalable cross-platform. You saw a show yesterday, and you saw it on your iPad, you saw it on your mobile phone, you saw it on your PC, on your video, on OTT, on VOD, you name it. We want to measure that. We want to measure and provide that not 8 weeks, not 6 weeks. We want to measure that overnight. We want to give that to you. So there's a lot. There's a lot there. You also have to continuously innovate. One of the things that we announced a couple of weeks ago is something called our Total Home Panel, which is, we traditionally started out where we put an opt-in service on the PC. Then we had to do it on mobile. Then we had to do tagging. But this is now, how do we measure everything within the home? So you actually put a device that's connected to your wireless router, and you then are able to see all the connections, all of the devices in your home. You see all of that. It's just you have to continuously innovate, or else you're going to wake up one day and
you're
say,
going to be wearing them.
yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Wireless, it turns out
the location
there is
based,
on
right?
average 10 to 12 devices. We're probably all skewed,
Yeah.
but 10 to 12 devices connected to your home router. And that number is only going one way. Look at this show. That number is only going one way.
Yeah.
Going up.
Yeah.
It's going up.
All right, so prediction for 2016.
It's all you, buddy.
It's going to be
Anything.
another crazy year.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I think you're going to see a massive shakeout, though, in the market. I think
You do.
I think you're going to
Interesting.
see a lot of Me Too companies, a lot of companies that, don't really have any point of differentiation. They'll either disappear or they'll be acquired. I think quality will rise to the top, and I think
I hope
companies
so.
with, again, real consumer information. I think really great products will be a great year. But for others, I think it's going to be a really. Things need to shake out, and I think 2016 is the year it will shake out.
Yeah, I agree. I think quality analytics, mobile, for sure. Cross-platform, actually measuring and actually targeting what people are doing across all devices. That's key. Cross devices is huge. And then TBD on the walled gardens. That's something that it's something that we're going to have to see how that shakes up. They're extremely powerful, but how do the other players in this ecosystem work either with them or around them? And that's something that it's going to be fascinating to see.
It is going to be fascinating. So you heard it here first, right? Any announcements you want to make?
I think we're just,
You got a stay tuned
we've
announcement?
worked with comScore for a while.
I
They're
think
great
it's just
partners.
because of the wealth of information that they have. There's clearly we're working together on a Lyft product. There's no doubt about it. On
You got to get your
sales
acquisition
lift,
behind you
but
first.
we have to get our acquisition behind us. And but there's a lot we can do together. Absolutely.
Awesome. So great to
Yes,
spend time
always,
together,
always.
Stephen, Serge.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
We'll see you next year.
Try to
Same
find.
time.
We're going to be same time.
Same time.
Maybe the same place. We'll see. And
And at some point between now and next year, you need to tell me what Alfonso does.
yeah, we're going to figure out. I thought you decided it was marinara sauce.
Alrighty. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.